Okay, we are ready to cut out our fabric pieces. If we look at our instructions for cutting layouts, we are doing pants C, and my fabric is only 44-inch wide. It's pretty thin. So this is what it's going to look like for you in order to cut it out. So you have the fold on one side, which we have here, and then you have the selvage on the other side, which is the finished edge of the fabric. I have already washed my fabric and dried it, so it is clean and pre-shrunk. I didn't need to iron it because it's flannel, and I just pulled it right out when it was done. So we have our pattern pieces. We have our number 6, and we have our number 7, and I have my pocket piece, number 8. So it wants us to, let's back up, put number 7 this direction. Okay. So we have number 7. It says it wants us to put it this way. If you see on the pattern piece, you will see this big line that has arrows on it. That is the direction of your fabric. You want to make sure you're going in that direction. I am using fabric that has stripes, which makes it super easy because I can literally center that into this green stripe right here. So you'll take your pins. I'm gonna put them on my wrist here because I find that easier. And I am going to pin this stripe first so that I make sure it doesn't move. Ow. And you're gonna flatten it. I don't iron my pattern pieces. I think it's a waste of time. So I am just gonna flatten as I go. Okay, I have mine there. Now we're gonna start at one end of it. I'm gonna start at this end here that has the edging, and you're just gonna make sure that you're pulling it flat, and you're gonna pin the pattern piece all the way around on your fabric. I do about every 6 inches for a pin. It is kind of your comfort level for these. You don't need like a million pins. This part is a little wrinkly, so I'm just gonna make sure that it's flattened before I stick a pin in here. And I'm gonna stick it on this part that wants to fold over. That way it'll keep it down. And you are definitely going to put a pin in where this curve is, because when you go to cut, it'll lift up, and you don't want to. You want to make sure you get the curve right. And one more. Okay, we have one pattern piece in. I am just going to scoot my fabric down. And it said to do it the other direction, but I don't have enough space here. It's a really thin piece of fabric, so we are just going to do it the exact same. Just want to make sure we have enough room for our pocket, which we can do once we open this up. We'll have room for our pocket there. I don't like that spot, however. Needs to be on this side. There, more room for our pocket down there. Okay, we are going to just slide this down, and we are going to look at our arrow again. Here's our arrow. We're lined up right in the middle of this green stripe. I'm gonna put a couple of pins in the arrow just to keep it perfectly straight. Okay, now we will start at one end. Just gently smooth out the wrinkles. I want to be careful with the paper because it's tissue paper and it tears very easily. Got a fold up here on this edge and I want to make sure I get that whole thing. So we're going to flatten that down and put a pin right on that edge so that the wrinkles come out as much as we can get them. Okay, the pocket we will do on here as soon as we get the rest of this cut out. We'll open that up because we only need one pocket. The pants we need two. So here's our pants front C. It says cut two. So this is why our fabric is folded in half, to make sure that we get two cuts. And then on our pants back, it also says cut two. So that's why it's folded in half. Okay. Let's start with this one, and you are just going to cut with your fabric scissors right along your edges, okay? Oh, dang it, this is not cut off. This is the wrong. Okay, here is a good example of what not to do. So look at my pattern piece. I didn't cut the bottom line, the hem line, at size large. I just cut it. I know I shouldn't be doing this with my fabric scissors, but I don't want to go find another pair. That is where my cut line should be. So we will do this one again. You know, I find stuff all the time that I make little mistakes. It's totally okay. It's fabric, it's forgiving. Okay, now we're gonna cut up the inside of the pant leg. And I'm just cutting right along the line. Okay, I'm gonna cut just to this triangle. This is a notch. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a little tiny triangle. I only got one piece of fabric. Out from that notch, right where the notch is. And then we're gonna continue cutting. Okay, see now I have this little tiny triangle hanging off my fabric. That's exactly what I want. And then we're going to do the crotch line here. Okay, here's another notch. These are 3 notches, 3 triangles. I'm not going to cut 3 triangles. I am going to cut one side, go across those 3, and cut one there. So now I have just a really big notch. There's no reason that you should have to cut 3 triangles. That's just ridiculous. This is just a much faster way to just notch that so that you match up sizes of your notches with the other notch. Okay, I'm going to move back over to here. The top of my pants. Okay, we're coming down here and there's another notch. So we're just gonna make a little tiny triangle. Right there. I'll finish cutting all the way down. The notches are important because when you go to line up pattern pieces, you'll know you'll have the correct piece coming to it if the notch is in the right place. Once we take the pins off of this, we are not going to have the piece telling us what piece it is. We won't have the pattern telling us what piece it is. So these notches help us to figure out what piece it is. Okay. Now we have this, and we are going to remove the pins from our pattern piece. We are not done, however. We have a few things we need to mark. Before we are done with this pattern piece. Okay, all my pins out, all my pins. You're gonna grab your water-soluble pen that I gave you, and you're gonna make some markings here. See, on this pattern piece we have a pocket line. I'm doing size large, so this is my pocket line for size large. So what I wanna do is I wanna take very carefully my water-soluble pen, put a dot at the top of that line. I'm just going to slide my pen underneath, put a dot at the corner of that line, and put a dot at the edge of that line. Okay, so now you can see my dots, and I'm just going to draw a little dashed line from here to there. Okay, the reason you use a water soluble, because as soon as you wash this, it's just going to go away. Okay, so there's my pocket line. We need to, oh, I do have one more pin. We have to do the same for the other side. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip it over, and you're going to flip your pattern piece over as well and get it lined back up where it belongs. You're going to get it lined up here. Okay, now we're going to look at our pocket line from the other side. So here's my large right here. I'm going to put a dot there, put a dot right here in the corner where my finger is. Follow that line up and put a dot right here where that one is. Okay, now I can do my dashed line here. Okay, so there is your pocket line, and this pattern piece is completed. Now we will get this out of the way and move on to our other piece. Okay, just gonna pull this down. Oh good, I actually cut the hem off of this one where it's supposed to be. Okay, there is that. If you accidentally forget to stop and make a triangle at the notch, it is not the end of the world. What you can do is, if you see that, you're like, oh dang it, I forgot to do that notch. What you can do is you can take your water-soluble pen, like we just used, and you can actually just color that notch in. Just make a triangle on the inside of your fabric where that notch is. That is perfectly fine. I've done that a lot. I forget to make notches all the time. Because I'm just like cutting and not even thinking about it, and I'm like, oh crap. Okay, come over here. Okay, now we have a notch with 2 triangles. This is what separates this piece from the other one. The other one was 3 triangles, so now we know, oh, this is piece number 6 because it's going to be a shorter notch. It's not a 3 triangle notch, it's a 2 triangle notch. So we know that that is the front with the 2 triangle notch. Run my curve here nice and good. It's pretty good. Okay, we're gonna go down here to this notch, triangle. The scissors make a funny noise on my table. Okay, we have that pattern piece. We will open this up and we will do our pocket. Okay, the pocket also has a grain line, so you want to make sure that you line it up exactly where you want it. I'm going to do it right in between these 2 green stripes. There's a light green and a dark green stripe that you can sort of see. So I'm going to just anchor it there, and then I'm just going to put them in the corners here. It's funny that the pants have a pocket on one pant leg and not the other, but it's not my design. If you wanted them on both pant legs, I suppose you could make 2. Ow, just stabbed myself. I stab myself a lot. Okay. So that actually brings me to a good point, is we don't need to mark the pocket on both pant legs because there's only one pocket. But we're not really sure yet what piece we're using for which side of the pocket. I think they put on the left side of the pants. So I'm just going to mark them both now, and then we'll just have one that doesn't have a pocket, which is totally fine. Because I don't, without holding the pieces up to me, I'm not really sure which one's going to be the left yet. Ow. Okay, we have our pocket piece. Okay, there is one thing we need to mark on the pocket piece. There's a thing right here that's called a fold line, and this is what's going to create the fold inside your pocket. So we're going to take our water-soluble pen, and we're just going to put a little mark on either end of this fold line. Looks like it's about 1 inch. Yeah, it's about 1 inch down. And just do a general dashed line down that fold line. Okay, done with that piece. Now, get our scraps out of the way. Here's the other pocket line. So we will take our pins out. Be careful not to grab the paper as you're grabbing your pin, or else you'll just make a huge tear in it, which can be fixed with tape. You can just tape it back together in that spot, but just try to be careful with your patterns, especially if you want to reuse them. Like, I kind of want to make matching pajama pants for my whole family for Christmas, so I will need this pattern again. Okay, pocket line, large. Put a dot here. Just gonna put my finger there and lift it up. Dot there. Lay it back down so it's correct. And dot here. Okay. Make my little dashed line. Not perfectly straight, but that's okay. This is just, you'll see what this is for. This is just so we know where to put our pocket on the outside of our pants. Okay. line up, down there, pocket, dot here, dot there, make sure it's lined back up, and a dot here. Okay, make my little dashed lines. Oh, that's not straight at all. It needs to curve that way. There we go. All right, pocket line is done. And that is how you cut out your pattern pieces.